Hi, this is Randy Shepard again, and I wanted to continue part two of the auto mileage because it's probably one of the most overlooked deductions, I think, with self-employed business professionals. If you saw the first video, this is video part two. So let me share with you, if you're in sales and you're in outside sales, in my case, I work out of my home, as I said in video one. And so let me give you some ideas about how you can then turn a lot of your mileage into business miles. Remember, the IRS says it must be ordinary and necessary to your business. So here's how I work it, and this is perfectly legal. So if I'm leaving my house, a lot of times what a lot of people don't know is that if I'm going to leave my house and I'm going to go to an office to meet with a client, because I do 51% of all my administration, all of my work, right out of this house. This becomes my office. So everything from my office to meet with a client or what have you, then becomes a deduction. Now this is a temporary office, just a temp office that I have, and it happens to be, oh golly, it happens to be about 20 miles away. And so it's a 40-mile round trip. And a lot of times I'll go there and I'll get 20 miles of deductions. Well, if I need to stop off at a Walmart, here's I'll just put WM for Walmart. Typically that would be a personal mileage. But you know what I do is if I'm going to Walmart, I write it off as personal if I have to. But if it's a round trip going back to the office, which is out of my home, what I'll typically do is I'll go to a Walmart and I'll look for what is it that I need that's ordinary and necessary, that's to my business, that I need to pick up. It could be stationery. I'm always going through reams and reams of paper. Now, you're not always going to be able to make Walmart a business deduction. But I'm saying that then all of this then becomes, by picking up something ordinary and necessary to my business, then my mileage to Walmart then becomes a business expense, and then from Walmart back to my home becomes a business expense as well. And let's say it's 10 miles here and it's 20 miles there. I then have a 50-mile deduction. 50 miles deduction. And if you take that times 54.5 cents, that's a lot of money. That's $25 worth of deductions. The government is giving me $25. The government, the IRS, is giving me $25 to do that, in essence. And so think of things that are ordinary and necessary, and in your route of going from your office, what else can you do that it's ordinary and necessary? And remember to include that in your app, your software app that's GPS tracked, like TaxBot or whatever you're using. Be sure and do that. The other thing I want you to remember is that when it comes to this auto mileage, it has to be written, it has to be evidentiary, and it has to be backed by a third-party administrator. We talked about that in video one. And just actual medical billing, you could add charitable miles, medical miles. Your medical miles, so anything from your home, I don't do art very well, as you can see, but anything to your home, to a hospital, there's a hospital, and to a pharmacy, and back, this is a pharmacy, that's medical mileage. And your app software, that like TaxBot or whatever you're using, you'll be able to designate it as medical mileage. But it is amazing how much that adds up. I had one family that actually added more than $5,000 in deductions based on medical mileage. Medical mileage. And they had spent a lot of time at the doctor's office that year. You can also, not only medical, but did you know that you could also do charitable mileage? Charitable mileage is, let's say that you don't have to be employed by a church, but let's say you participate and you help the youth pastor, and you're going on youth float trips and you're having some significant involvement. Maybe you have a CDL license and are able to take the little bus and take a bus full and you're going on a float trip with the youth, do you know, if you own the bus, but if you're taking them in your car, you probably, I think you have more than 4 people, you probably have to have a CDL. I know it is in the state of Missouri. But what happens is that you actually can take charitable mileage off. Things that you are doing in the line for your charity, for your church, or whatever charity, nonprofit you're using, as long as it's a 501c3 or some type of nonprofit foundation, you have charitable mileage that you can take off. Now, that doesn't mean if I'm getting up on Sunday morning and I want to go to church, I get that, man, it's worth it. I'll put in that tithe because I know that going to church is going to give me a tax deduction. No, you cannot write. That is a personal expense, going to church and back and forth. But if you're actively involved in a ministry and you're doing something for the benefit of the church needs you. The church requires your help. And you are volunteering that help for a specific purpose. You need to be able to state what it is, where you went, what the purpose was, and then you get charitable mileage. And that's like 14 cents a mile for charitable mileage. Medical is 19 cents a mile. So what happens is all of this can begin to add up. Another mileage is moving. That's not necessarily a big thing, but if you're moving from, like what we did, from Miami to Kansas City, moving mileage can mean a lot. And so you can use moving mileage. So there's business mileage, auto mileage that is ordinary and necessary for your business. Medical mileage can be in the equation of, are you spending more than 10% of your medical costs over and above your AGI, then you get a deduction for it. So it can be in the computation for that. Charitable mileage, when you're doing something specifically for a nonprofit, 501c3 or something like that, a charity, that's specific in nature and purposeful in nature to that organization. And then there's also moving mileage. Those are the things you need to consider. All of that begins to add up. It is amazing what kind of mileage you're putting in your car and what can be allocated legally as deductions. Think about it. And if you need more help, be sure and give me a call or email me. And by the way, this is not, understand, this is not tax advice for you. This is general tax advice. But take this stuff to your CPA and tax preparer and make sure that you are doing everything you can to be IRS compliant, and make sure your tax preparer knows exactly what you're doing. Thank you. Until next time, this is